Greetings, folks. Too Improper here, bringing you yet another in my series. And as you can see, I've got a box from EAA. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm proud to present to you the Colt Python. Folks, here it is, the Colt Python. And as you can see, it takes up most of its box. What? Yeah, I know. Yeah, this is the Weihrauch Windicator, the EAA Windicator. But folks, this is the EAA Windicator, the Colt Python of EAA's lineup. So here we go. As you can see, that was a very small box, which of course came with its obligatory instruction manuals and locks and stuff like that. But this is it. This is the EAA Windicator, a sturdy little tank of a revolver. And you guys know me, I'm all about budget. I'm a Scotsman, so I'm going to be all about budget. And this is no exception to any of the other budget handguns that I brought on. And of course, I did my homework, so I absolutely knew that I was going to love having this handgun. As most of you know, this is a 28.8 ounce revolver, and this is a tank solid revolver, and I am glad to have it. Now folks, you guys know me. I got this because it was only $290 at Bud's Guns. This is a definite value for someone who wants a 38 Special / 357 revolver. And if you're into budget like I am, and I am, this is just the honey for you if you can handle the recoil of 357, right? We're going to get into recoil in a little bit, but so far so good with this, and I've gotten a chance to shoot it, and it shoots beautifully. As you can see, and I'll bring it up close, this is the blued version. They have a nickel version that looks pretty good. It looks really nice, but I just like bluing for some reason better, and this is a pretty good bluing. I mean, it's not top of the line best bluing you're ever going to see. It's not Colt Python bluing, but this is pretty good bluing, and this is a very solid revolver. Again, very tank-like. This feels heavy. This is a solid steel pistol, but it's only 28.8 ounces. Now it's 6 rounds of 357 Magnum for power potential, and when you compare that to the 1911, which is 40 ounces, 39 ounces, and it's 7 or 8 rounds of 45 ACP, well, you know, it's up to you, you know, which do you want? So this weighs less than a 1911. And there's a lot of people that like to boo-hoo about the weight of this handgun in conjunction with its size. And I think they're crying about it because this looks like it could be a pocket pistol, but 28.8 ounces in your pocket would be mighty heavy. You could wear this in your waistband, but then you've got to take into consideration that there's some girth right here, and your body type and all sorts of stuff like that, and what you can take doing all day, maybe the work you do or whatever. So everything is subjective on the person and their personal circumstances. This is, again, going to be in a standby role for me. This is not going to be a primary carry, like, say, for example, my Walther PPS M2. That's one of my primary carries. Or my Glock 19. That's one of my primary carries. This will be in a different role. Plus, I will like having a 357 Magnum on standby. How much of a feeling of security does that give you? And I've been looking at this Windicator for years, and one of the things that pushed me over the edge is when I was visiting those good fellas over there at 14K Golden Pot in Westland, Michigan. They had one of these in their shop, and I was like, let me hold that thing, you know, and they handed it across, and this feels really good. This rubber grip fits perfectly in my hands, and I've got sort of largish hands, not extra largish hands, but largish hands, and this is a rubber grip. It feels very good. And it does tame the recoil when I'm shooting this thing. So that pushed me over the edge. I was like, finally then, I will get this because I finally got a chance to hold it. Somebody had it, and I just wanted to see what this thing was all about. It is 28.8 ounces, and if I compare it in size to other firearms, and again, I'll pull out here the Walther PPS M2. This is the Walther PPS M2. And of course, it's load thicker than the PPS M2 because of the girth here with the cylinder. You got to take that into consideration. This is a 6-round revolver. And of course, comparing it to the Glock 19, I'm going to do this barrel to barrel right here. You can see that it is pretty much smaller than the Glock 19. Very much heavier, but pretty much smaller. So this revolver is much smaller than I was previously thinking. The pictures that Bud's Guns has, for some reason, there's a perspective difference here, and it makes it look a lot huger than it really is. This is pretty much a pretty small revolver. The weight, though, is what had a lot of people boo-hooing about, because it's not as light as the Smith & Wesson Airweights or the Ruger LCR. So people saw the size of it, and they probably instantly kind of thought it was going to be a light revolver, and when they got a hold of this, they're like, holy crap. But I think, again, this is a useful weight for this handgun, because the 357 Magnum round is a no-shitter. Let's look at the recoil comparisons, as a matter of fact. I brought my H&K P30 SK 9mm, so you can see a side view of the recoil there. And of course, that's pretty manageable. The H&K P30 SK handles that pretty good. And then I shot the Windicator with 38 Special. And as you can see with the 38 Special, it's very doable on this handgun. As a matter of fact, this handgun makes 38 Special quite pleasurable. I'm shooting 38 Special standard here, though, not plus P. Plus P is going to be considerably more stout in the recoil department. And then finally, we move into 357 Magnum. And as you can see, the recoil from that one is considerably more stout than the 9mm and the 38 Special. And that's one of the more stout rounds commonly carried by your concealed carriers, is the 357 Magnum, the 10mm, and lesser so, but 44 Magnum, which is considerably more stout than this. Now, folks, if you're comparing the recoil to a revolver that's 28.8 ounces to, say, the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard, which is a much smaller, much lighter J-frame, you can see by the footage here that the recoil is very much stouter with such a smaller and lighter frame. So that's another thing that you want to take into consideration. So I would not put someone with compromised hand strength, your grandmother, any people that are inexperienced shooters or who are going to get hurt or bothered by the recoil, I wouldn't put them into this one either. Just because 357 Magnum, that is a pretty powerful round. Now, a lot of people get annoyed with me because I talk about recoil. And I had this one G.I. Joe type, giving me the business. What do you keep talking about recoil for? If they train with their firearm, they should be able to take it. Well, not if they're not going to have any fun. They're not going to train with their firearm if the gun kicks their ass. Not everybody can handle every kind of recoil, And there's a lot of people that have that mentality that, with any handgun whatsoever, a 454 Casull, if you just give it to your 9-year-old girl and she trains with it, she'll be... No, not necessarily, So you don't want to put people into a handgun that they're going to be reluctant to train with. But if you're an experienced shooter, 357 Magnum is quite a powerful, more than sufficient round for self-defense, and especially when you've got 6 rounds of 357 Magnum in this revolver. It's comparable to 7 or 8 rounds of 9mm in this here Walther PPS M2. So you've got power or you've got a weight reduction. It's up to you. So everybody has their reasons for getting whatever firearm it is. All of that stuff does count, and we want people to be proficient with their firearms when they go out there in the streets. So don't give them something they can't handle. Now, if I have any beefs about this Windicator here, I'm going to say that this crown right here, up here in front, I coated this with some of my Battle-Born lubricant to keep it from rusting, because some people had rusting problems with this thing right here, or discoloration problems or whatever. So I put some of that Battle-Born lubricant right here in the front to kind of protect that from rusting. Another gripe that I have with this is not a very big gripe, but the sights are very minimal. As you can see, here's the blade. And I intend to put some white paint or bright orange paint here on this blade. The rear sights, they're sufficient, but I've got to color this so that I can see this. As you guys know, my eyes are for shite, and I just can't see anything, so coloring this blade is going to help me. Now, another gripe that I would have with this handgun would be right here, right? Now, as you can see, there's sort of a ledge right here. It's squared off. It's not rounded off. And again, this is a 357 Magnum. And I'm a thumbs forward shooter, so this is my fault. But when I was shooting the handgun, the recoil brought that ledge, that sharpened ledge right here, back into my thumbnail, right? As you can see, it gored straight into my thumbnail, and it just drove back into my thumb skin, right through my thumbnail, and I was bleeding like a stuck pig shooting this thing. It almost took away from some of the fun from the shoot because I was like, God dang, that hurt. And it's because this thing right here is sharp. Now, I'm a thumbs forward shooter, which you shouldn't really do with a revolver anyway because of the gas discharge out the sides, right, from the cylinders. So when you're shooting a revolver, you should try to keep your hands away from the cylinder discharge out the sides. There's always going to be some, so you want to keep your hands away from that, right? But I shot thumbs forward, and this thing gored me from that little sharp object there on the side. So if I was going to say anything to Weihrauch, I would say, hey, finish that, you know. I would pay an extra $20 for the revolver if it meant I didn't have this sharp edge right here that was going to cut into my hand when I forgot and shot thumbs forward. And now I know it was operator error because you're not really supposed to shoot thumbs forward with a revolver. You're supposed to stay away from that discharge area. But, you know, that's what it resulted in because it was a very sharp edge right here. And that sucked. Boy, I can tell you that sucked. Now, another gripe I have is the same gripe that a lot of other people had, and that is that this carriage screw right here, it walks out with use, right? So the more you shoot the gun, the looser this gets. And some people actually had their cylinders falling off. That's not good. And I'm going to be getting some Loctite because a lot of the people that had the problem with that screw right there went and got some Loctite. They put it on the screw. They put it back in. No problemo. The thing didn't come loose again, and they continued to shoot happily. So when I shoot this handgun, I'm going to keep my thumb away from this sharp end, and I'm going to have Loctite here and a painted blade. And these are my only modifications that I would ask for or do myself on this EAA Windicator. And again, for accuracy purposes, this handgun was more than sufficient for me, especially for its use. This is an up-close and personal type of handgun. This is not a 25 to 50 yard reach out, though some people were shooting their Vindicators pretty good at 25 yards and 30 yards. But my eyes suck. I can't even see 25 or 30 yards. And so I've got to hand it to them. They were doing pretty good with this. Primarily, this is going to be an up-close and personal kind of weapon. Should you need it. And God forbid we should need these things for what they're supposed to do. I would rather just have fun taking these things to the range. Now to open the cylinder, here's the lever right here. It pushes forward. You open your cylinder. As you can see, this is a 6-round revolver. Right. And I just so happen to bring some snap caps. And folks, by the way, your speed loader for this is the HKS number 10A. Okay, the number 10A fits the rounds just right, and it does. See, I'm gonna put it in there, gonna turn it, it releases the rounds perfectly inside there, and now we're ready for action. Now those were snap cap, folks. Those weren't real bullets, so don't go to your psychiatrist or mom's demand action just yet. The hammer back here, it's a spurred hammer, pretty logical, goes back just like any other revolver you have. Now the trigger is pretty light. Now, it's not going to be as light and precision as your Smith & Wessons, your Colts, your Rugers, but it is more than sufficient for its job, right? And I'd give that about a 3-pound, 4-pound pull, maybe 4 or 5. Yeah, I think that's more like 4 or 5. But it's not bad, doesn't pull you off target or anything like that. One more time. Get a close-up of that bluing. Wow, flashing. How pretty. Oh, right there. There is the Hermann Weihrauch logo right here. And it says Made in Germany down here. Let's see. See that? Made in Germany. DE. Its proof marks are up here. I took a picture of its proof marks so that you could see them. Pretty interesting. I'm going to have to superimpose an actual photo on this. And this is a really nicely blued handgun. Of course, read your instruction manual before use. They've got to ruin every handgun with that now because of this protectionist society. So anyway, the double action trigger pull is pretty stout. I'm going to give that anywhere between 12 to 16 pounds. But it's very predictable and it's very stageable. So not bad. And folks, really, $290 for a .357 Magnum revolver, but for those who are used to holding the air weights and the LCRs and stuff like that, this will be considerably heavier. So don't expect a light and airy small J frame from this, because that's not what this is. This is a tank solid steel revolver. So again, it shoots the .357, and I've got to say that an advantage behind that is that for carry purposes, you've got the .357 Magnum round, right? Which is slightly taller than the .38 Special. But the .357 round, you've got the power of .357, and it is power for carry purposes, but for practice purposes, you've got .38 Special, which costs considerably less than .357 Magnum. So you've got the best of both worlds. You can shoot .38 Special, and you can shoot .357 Magnum and save money practicing with .38 Special. So that is a definite bonus plus. And again, of course, the case is small, and what I like about this case is that it comes with this little locking part right here. So if you're going to put it under your car seat or something like that, and depending on what your jurisdiction is and their rules and what they require, you can actually throw a lock on this, and that should be sufficient. It may not meet the standards for airports. I did not check into that. So, but all of that aside, folks, here it is. This is the Weihrauch Vindicator, the .38 Special .357 Magnum tank, brought to you by Herman Weihrauch and Sons. And I would say so far so good with this, okay? Again, this is not the premium review. The premium review comes after a considerable amount more of shooting. So you'll be looking for that here in probably within the next year or two. But folks, don't forget to check out www.notjustguns.com, okay? Folks, I can't emphasize enough that even though the big box stores are good sometimes, you know, when you need them, when you can, try to support your smaller stores, your local merchants and stuff like that to keep your local economies going. www.notjustguns.com. They are one such merchant. www.notjustguns.com. Check them out. And also, folks, don't forget to check out 14K Golden Pawn if you're ever in Westland, Michigan, on the corner of Ford and Wayne Road. Very good guys and knowledgeable in what they do, them. So check out 14K Golden Pawn. And I'm too improper. My email address is scrolling across the screen as we speak right now. tooimproper@gmail.com. Write and I will answer you, provided you are not being a tool about whatever it is you have to say. And if I've got the time. And don't forget to watch for me on Patreon. And don't forget to watch for me at WordPress. All of that stuff is getting finalized and finished. I'm dotting the I's and crossing the T's. Patreon and WordPress for the blog. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless America, and keep on protecting your families, yourselves, this country, and its honor, and its constitutional amendments. Every one of them, you know it's always the right thing to do.